Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another House Rules video. And this time we're going to be looking at character sheets. Now as usual I'll be going through a bunch of different games and looking at the character sheets from those and seeing what we can learn from them. Before we go on to the game we've been creating together, and I'll have come up with something and we'll see what that's like. But in this video I will be, although visiting some older games, mainly concentrating on newer ones, because older character sheets did tend to be a bit of a spreadsheet. There wasn't a lot of great graphic design in them, except in rare occurrences. So I'll be looking at newer games where character sheets tend to be a bit more interesting. But anyway, let's have a look at some character sheets. So first up, Dungeons & Dragons. Now I'm going to be looking at the digital copies over here, because while three of the ones I'm going to be showing, because I'm going to be showing you 5 different versions of Dungeons & Dragons character sheets from different editions, at least 3 of them I have for the physical books. I could be showing you the 2nd edition rulebook here. But 2 of the character sheets I'm going to show you I do not have physical copies of. I suppose I could have printed them out because I have digital ones, but that would seem a bit of a waste. So let's just look at the digital ones. So first up we've got 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Now, the characters in AD&D 2nd edition have a lot of extra information on them. So while this does tend to be a bit spreadsheety, you know, looking at the weapon combat section and the special abilities, proficiencies, etc., the different attributes have so many sub-things coming off them. So for strength, you've got your hit probability, your damage adjustment, your weight allowance, your max press, your bend bars, lift gates. For constitution, we've got hit point adjustment, we've got system shock, we've got resurrection survival, we've got poison save, we've got regeneration. And there's all this extra information coming off each, which does mean that it's a bit less spreadsheety. But there's still a very rectangular feeling to it. It's pretty boring. I do remember back in the day recreating this character sheet in ordinary characters and printing out an old dot matrix printer. I'm of that age. Anyway, next up we've got the 3rd edition one. Now, while skills have taken far more of a preference, if we look back at the 2nd edition one, we can see we've got proficiencies down here in a very small corner. We've got virtually half the first page taken up to skills. We've still got the strength, dexterity, ability scores here, but they're now the score and the modifier. We don't have all these other sub-things to them. While we do have temporary scores, so if you've got a spell cast on you which enhances your strength, you can note it down there. If you're wearing a magical item which improves it, you can note it down there. We've got the shield armor class. We've got lots of information. The weapons are still very spreadsheety, and there's a general feeling to that. Now, I never recreated this one. This was by the era where you could be getting PDFs and form-fillable ones, and that's what I did. But it's still a pretty boring design. And that brings us up to 5th edition. Now, once again, this is a bit more open. We've got the attributes down the side here, and the skills next to them, a much shorter list. We've got the saving throws over here, and a lot more areas for information, especially about character, personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws. We've got features and traits, other proficiencies and languages, your equipment down here, and your different types of attacks, so you can be putting in your weapons. It's a lot less spreadsheety, but it still has a very rectangular feeling to it, but they're starting to break away from it. Now, this isn't as revolutionary as one of the options they gave. When they were doing the D&D Next playtest packages leading up to 5th edition, this was the character sheet that they gave away with it, that they had sent you. And I like this a lot more than the one that they ended up going with. Now, while it's formatted fairly similarly, and it's for a version of Dungeons & Dragons which doesn't exist, because we don't have proficiencies or skills, we've got lore here. But you could see this section easily spreading out into boxes for what proficiencies and skills you had. But I like the way that everything is in the centre. So we've got your level at the very core of your character, the experience and what you need for the next level there, the character name and details above that, the attributes below, including your initiative, your speed, what languages, and whether you've got dark vision or not. We've got information about spells, your weapon attacks, your class features, your racial traits, what money you've got, your armor class, all surrounding that. And a little space for a portrait up the top. I really like this character sheet. It was a very nice idea. I like the way it totally breaks the rectangular format. We've got this circle, which is the core of your character, the important stuff in there, with little icons spread around as well, informing you. A great, great design. And finally, for Dungeons & Dragons, this is the character sheet that they've done for 5.5 edition, the 2024 rulebooks. And this is the character sheet that they're using. Now, it's a lot fainter, so I'm not sure whether it's going to come up on your screen as clear, but they've moved things around a bit. So, in the 5th edition one, we've got the attributes down the side and then the list of skills next to it. Well, they've broken that, sorry, clicked to the wrong one, by having the attributes here with the skills directly below. So for your strength, you've got your athletics there. For your dexterity, you've got your acrobatics, sleight of hand, and stealth. For charisma, you've got deception, intimidation, performance, and persuasion. Now, while this does kind of make sense, that these are all the ones which are coming or being derived from that attribute, I do think that starting players will be searching for their skills. Instead of, we've got a list of all the skills in alphabetical order down here, they're spread all over the place. But apart from that, it's still a bit spreadsheety. We've got weapons and damage cantrips over here. We've got class features, species traits, feats, and lots of information across the top with your armor class, hit points, death saves, etc. It's a bit boring. I can see why they've broken the skills down the way they have, because that's the way they work in Dungeons & Dragons, but I don't particularly like it. And next up, we've got the Babylon Project. This was from Chameleon Eclectic in 1997, based on the Babylon 5 TV show. Now, the thing about Chameleon Eclectic across all of their games was their graphic design was fantastic. They really pressed hard into that. The design philosophy was fantastic. And while the individual pieces of art within the rulebook might not be great, the books themselves were laid out very clearly. They were very interesting to look at. And the character sheet itself, way back at the end of the book, is quite interesting. Because it's not just a black grid on a white page to save your ink. They've gone with something far more dark and interesting. We've got the different details at the top, so your name, race, archetype. We've got your different attributes across, so cultural attributes, mental attributes, physical attributes, and derived attributes. Characteristics, etc., skills at the bottom, specialities here. All fairly spreadsheety, but we've got this character illustration in the middle. Because one of the things about the Chameleon Eclectic games was the way they handled hits. So, depending on what different pose your character was in, they could be hit in different areas, and the damage to different areas would have different effects. So, it's nice to have the standard body there, where you can mark down what wounds are received and see where you are hit. And next up, Carbon Grey. Now this came out from Magnetic Press Play in 2021, so it's a newer game. But this is where I would usually use Star Wars D6 as an example, because both Carbon Grey and Star Wars D6 use the D6 system. So the character sheets are going to be very, very similar. So if we go all the way to the back of the book, the design in this book is absolutely fantastic, but the character sheet is very much a form. Now it's laid out like the Star Wars ones, so you've got the attributes with each skill which is derived from that beneath. Because each of your skills increase on the attribute, depending on what level it's at. The higher your attribute is, the better you are at all of the skills underneath it. But they've taken advantage of this looking like a spreadsheet, like a form, by making it the Carbon Grey character registration form. Because of the setting of Carbon Grey during the war, this is like a form that a bureaucrat would fill in. And they've played into that. That's very, very nice. They've got the information there. I don't like the fact that they've kind of marked on a serial number. Would have been nicer if you could have made one up or had rules in the book for generating your character's serial number. But they've taken advantage of this looking like a form to make it a form. A very nice piece of design. And we've got Salvage Union from Leyline Press in 2023. Now, while I have some problems with the game itself, there's one area I have no doubts about, and it's its graphic design. Aled Lawler and Panatoshis Lines, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, are great guys, and they do brilliant, brilliant design work. Panny's previous game, Shadow of Mog, was absolutely beautiful to behold. It was a great designed book and a great game. But the character sheet is a bit of a letdown. If we go through to it, we've got the pilot character sheets. So we've got their call sign, motto, class, keepsakes, appearance, background, and their abilities. And then inventory. And that's it. It's spread across 2 pages. There's lots of room for stuff. I don't think anybody complained that there's not enough space for putting in notes about what your abilities do and that. But I don't think that people will be using all that space. You'll write the name of your ability, and then you'll probably go and look up the rulebook every time you use it. You won't be noting down the full description in here. So I do find it a bit of a wasted design. It'd be nice if they had used some space for putting a character image on or something like that, if they were going to have all this room. But it's a nice simple design in a very nicely designed game. And Shadowrun. Now, I don't have the 6th edition. This is the most recent one I have, 5th edition from 2013. So fairly modern. But the character sheet hasn't actually changed much over the years. We've got it here at the back of the book. And we've got the attributes over here. Your body, agility, reaction, strength, willpower, logic, etc. All clustered into a box. Your skills listed below. Information on your lifestyle, your money, your contacts, your qualities, and then we've got your condition monitor. Because Shadowrun doesn't tend to use hit points or anything like that, you use your body to resist damage, and the more points of damage clock you down and give you larger and larger disadvantages. As you become more damaged, things get harder to do. So you monitor how much damage you're checking off, and that's a big thing, especially as stun damage, when you fill that, tracks over into physical damage. So you can become so stunned that you actually start taking physical damage. Because things like fist fighting, stun grenades, concussion, etc. will do stun damage. And it's a fairly simple character sheet. And as I said, it hasn't actually changed that much since 1st edition. The condition monitors changed size slightly, the skills have moved around a bit, but the same information has been presented across all 5 editions of Shadowrun. And Werewolf the Apocalypse. This is the 2nd edition from 1994 from White Wolf Publishing. And what goes for the character sheet in this one goes for all of the World of Darkness games, because they're very, very similar. If I open the book and avoid hitting the camera with it, we can see that attributes are laid out by how many dice you've got in each. Now, all your physical attributes are laid out with 1 already filled in, because you can't go less than that, but there's spaces to fill in all the others as you increase your attributes, with 5 being the maximum. And 5 is the maximum you can get in your talent, skills, and knowledge as well. Now, they're laid out in this fashion because Werewolf and all the World of Darkness games allow you to link your abilities to your attributes in different ways. So, alertness, for example, is noticing things. Well, if you walk in and you're noticing that there's a bloodstain on the skirting board when you're looking for clues, that would probably be your perception plus your alertness. But if you're looking for something that's out of place and you've got to figure that out, that might be intelligence plus alertness. And it allows you to role-play out situations and have a much larger variety of differences based on your attributes and your abilities by cross-linking them. So, firearms, to shoot it will be plus dexterity, but if you're stripping a gun down, that might be something like your intelligence. So it allows you to use your skills in much different ways and have different ratings, depending on how knowledgeable you are about firearms or how alert you are, plus your different attributes. And I have to notice as well that I really like the bit on the back with the different forms, where it notices or notes the differences in dice. So as you change from Homid, you've got your base stats. As you go up to Glabro, your man-wolf form, you've got an addition to strength, but your appearance and manipulation drop. Krynos, the combat form, has massive strength and stamina, but its manipulation's tiny and appearance drops to 0. Hispo, your near wolf form, and Lupus, when you are a true wolf. I do like that addition, and that's the way the character sheets across the World of Darkness do differ per the game. They're not all exactly the same. And finally, we've got this massive big box, Twilight 2000 from 3D Publishing in 2021. Now, this uses the design ethos of the setting, because you are a member of the military, survivor of the Twilight War of the year 2000. We've got military records, even down to the paperclip in the corner to hold them in place. Although I tended to think that paperclip should be up in that corner, but that's where they put their logo. And it looks like a form. We've got the standard information at the top, name, appearance, military rank, your buddy, how you met the group. We've got attributes and skills, different combat ratings, armor, gear, and weapons at the bottom. It's a form designed to look like a form. I don't think it's as nicely done as the carbon grey one, but it makes a lot of sense. That you're in the military, so you'll have some kind of record form, and this is it. It's your character sheet. So here we are with the Google Doc of the rules we've been working on all this time. And most of it's the same. But the last couple of pages, I've added character sheet. Now, what have I gone for? Well, I've gone for a spreadsheet. Because this is just for testing at the moment. And things might radically change in the playtesting period. So I didn't want to spend too much time. But I'll go over the logic of it. So we've got the name at the top. We've got the attributes. So we've got the 9 different attributes we've chosen. With the number of dice you're rolling. So you can mark off up to, 7 on each. But underneath each, we've got damage. Because the damage system we chose is attribute damage. So every time you receive wounds, you're choosing which attributes being degraded by it. Instead of just having an area for hit points or how much health we have, we've actually got 9 different health bars. So a lot of the character sheets going up to having your attributes and then showing the amount of damage they've received when you're in combat. Below that, we've got skills, marked off in the same way, but you can't get skill damage. So they don't need that, they just need the description of each skill. Beneath that, I've got the equipment table. We've got an area for putting in demonic abilities and mental instabilities as we pick them up. Space on the back for different backpacks and whatever spells you're using. And a big space at the bottom for any other notes. Now, I imagine in a full version of this character sheet, having, instead of the equipment area, for example, having a sort of Vitruvian man laid out. In a cop uniform in sort of riot armour, and the equipment being marked on the different areas. So you can show what he's got in his pockets, what he's got on his chest, on his hips, what he's carrying on his belt, etc., etc. So we can actually indicate where on the body easily instead of just in text format. And I don't know about anything else. The attributes being at the top with the damage underneath them seems very important because that's going to be a large part of the game, the fluctuating amount of damage you've received. But I don't really like the way I've laid them out. With 9 attributes, it's easy just to put them in a grid of 3x3 with the damage underneath, but they don't really lay out properly. It feels like strength, agility, dexterity, and endurance should be together, while intelligence, education, charisma should be together, and then appearance and willpower should be together. So there's 4 of one, then 3, then 2, instead of a logical 3. So there might be some other way we could lay those out better, again indicating the way the character is, so putting the intelligence, education, charisma nearer the head, while the others indicate the body, shifting things around that way. But that would be as we finalize the character sheet. So this is another one of those elements in the game that we're knocking off down the park. But I think we're getting to the point where we need to start playtesting. So that will be the plan for the next game session, where I'll go through character creation. I'm going to recruit my son Adam, who's been in some videos, and he will go through the character creation with me, and we'll record that. And once we've tested that out, we'll go on to a playtest session and we'll give some feedback on that, and we shall see how these rules hold out. But anyway, as usual, I've been whittering on for quite long enough, so thank you very much for watching. As always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.